This is one of the craziest stats that I've come across probably in my whole life. It's a crazy one. I was doing some research on cell phones and on how cell phones were stealing people's attention. And as I was doing the research, I'm like, okay, let me just do a quick AI search. So I open my phone, I turn on AI, and they say, AI, what's the average amount of time people spend on their cell phone a day? And it spits out the answer. Drum roll, please. What do you think it is? Guess. Pause this video, put the guess in the comments. Don't look yet. The average person spends 6 hours and 40 minutes on their phone every single day. Think about that. So that means basically, roughly, a third of your life is spent, almost a third of your life, 25% of your life is spent, 27% of your life is spent scrolling on the phone or watching on the phone or doing whatever you're supposed to be doing on the phone. Think about that. And if you don't think that these cell phones aren't stealing your attention, if you don't think that these cell phones aren't stealing your time, if you think that these cell phones are good for you, think about that. Start checking. How much time are you actually spending on your cell phone? And do you think you could be doing something else with those 6 hours and 40 minutes every single day? People, think about it. What could you be doing? You could be learning an instrument. You could be working on a side hustle. You could be spending time with your kids. You could be out working out. You could pick up a hobby. You could start doing some extracurricular sports, painting, playing guitar, learn how to surf, whatever. 6 hours and 40 minutes a day spent on your cell phone. Think about that, how crazy that is. And you have to understand, I get it. It's not necessarily your fault because I don't think people quite understand how these phones were designed, right? These phones were designed to steal your attention. They were designed to it's like having a casino in your pocket. Have you ever went to your phone just because you wanted to check something for a second? And then the next thing you know, an hour's passed by, 2 hours has passed by. That's by design. So every time you check your phone, you end up checking, okay, so let's think about this. Go through your average check. Let's say you look at your phone. First you check, okay, did you get a message? You got a bing, okay, so somebody sent me a text message. So you check that. And then after that, you check your WhatsApp messages to see if anybody sent you any WhatsApp messages. After that, you check your Instagram. After that, you check your Facebook. After that, you check your TikTok. And then maybe, all of a sudden you're like, there's this YouTube video I want to watch. Now you're checking YouTube. And so on. And then all of a sudden you start realizing that you don't even realize that you almost spend as much time on your cell phone as you do sleeping. You almost spend as much time on your cell phone as you do working if you work 8 hours a day. It's unbelievable. So I just want to, I thought this was an interesting stat. What do you think? Do you think that's a crazy stat? Feel free, just check your AI. Because I said, AI, where is this source coming from? And it gave me a whole bunch of sources. So you can easily check this yourself. But that was mind-blowing. But also, it brought up it made me remember a few things. So yesterday, for example, I'm out with my buddy at the bar. And we're having a beer. Just a casual beer, 6 o'clock. And right beside us are two friends. And they're having a beer. Each of them are drinking their beers. I know they're friends because I've seen them before. But the whole time, they're individually staring at their cell phones, and every once in a while, when they looked up from their cell phone, they would then push the cell phone in their friend's face and say, hey, check out this video. Hey, check out this video. And they did that for about an hour, maybe 2 hours, and then one of them said, I gotta go meet my friend somewhere. I'm going to wherever. And I'm like, you didn't even hang out, you didn't even chat, you didn't even talk. And this is becoming the norm. I'm noticing as soon as people come into like the bar or whatever and they sit at the bar, the first thing they do is pull out their phone, they start staring at their phone, order their drink their beer, stare at their phone. That's it. So even the pub mentality or the bar mentality, what I like about the bar is when I go in there, my goal is to have a beer, but also to chat with the regulars. Sometimes we get travelers coming in from other countries, so I like to have a conversation with them. And for the most part, they do want to have conversations because they want to learn a little bit about what's going on in your city. But what I'm noticing now is people are they're just refusing. They're unashamed. They have no shame. They're okay just sitting there staring at their phones with their friend right beside them for hours and hours and hours on end. It's mind-blowing. It's unbelievable. You know, I do think that something that would be interesting is if somebody opened a bar and they had a no cell phone policy in the bar. So if you go into the bar, you're not allowed to bring your cell phone out. If you need to use your cell phone, you got to go outside, or probably most people just go to the washroom potentially and use their cell phone. But I do think that having cell-free zone areas, having cell phone free concerts, having cell phone free anything is a big opportunity. Even having cell phone free weddings, you have a photographer there anyways. You know what I mean? And I remember weddings back in the day before cell phones, and you're always talking to everybody. You haven't seen a lot of your family members, or you haven't seen a lot of your friends, and you spend all your time catching up, and it becomes a huge celebration, almost like a family reunion. I just think that trying to get away from those cell phones and trying to get away from this cell phone, this lack of culture of just staring at your phone all the time, definitely needs to be something that has to start becoming a priority, not only out in public, but even in the households. Here's another story. I was watching a movie with some friends, and then there's a couple people watching the movie, and the whole time we're watching the movie, they literally just sat there looking at their cell phone while we watched the movie. Like, why are you down here watching the movie if you just want to stare at your cell phone? You know what I mean? So what ended up happening, we just turned off the movie and said, okay, well, this is done. Nobody wants to watch this movie, right? Like, because that's ridiculous. You know, you're watching, they're supposed to share the experience. The whole point of doing things together is to have a shared experience. But every time you bring out that cell phone, every time you do that, now that shared experience is gone, because now your attention has gone to something else. It's gone to your cell phone. And the other thing is, when you're having a conversation with somebody and they're constantly distracted by their cell phone, it ruins the conversation. It just makes you feel like whatever you have to say doesn't matter, and you just lose the ambition, or you lose the feeling of the conversation, because they're constantly checking their phone, or they're constantly being distracted. And as a storyteller, it gets annoying when you're interrupted by some stupid phone, some inanimate object from some sort of a casino machine in your pocket. You know what I mean? I just find it unbelievable. And you just that stat, 6 hours and 40 minutes on average right now as of 2025 is spent on the cell phone. Let that sink in. And I know there's a lot of parents out there that say, well, I'm busy and it's just easier for me to put the kid on the cell phone. Well, let me break it to you. My dad raised 4 kids, okay, by himself in the 80s and the 90s, and he didn't have no cell phones, and we were able to go out and do things and find stuff to do, and he was able to do that. So if you got 2 parents in the house and you're raising kids, I mean, I'm not throwing any shade at you, but I do think that finding other uses for your kids' time that's going to help them progress as an individual, whether that be through music or through sport or activity or through socialization or anything other than staring at a phone and wasting their youth. Think about it. If you're a kid right now and you're spending 6 hours and 40 minutes a day on your cell phone, when you should be outside experiencing the world and making friends and creating shared experiences, you know, when you should be on your bikes, jumping off ramps, breaking your arm, skateboarding, you know, doing crazy things, having a great time, you know, going to the store, finding, you know, going to find and just getting bored together and then figuring out to do something. A lot of people forget, man, being bored is one of the greatest things in the world, because it leads you to creativity. Think about how many how many people were sitting there bored with their friends and are like, well, what do you guys want to do? Well, you know, let's start a band. And the next thing you know, you got a garage band started, and the next thing you know, there's touring the world, and you never know what could happen. Boredom leads to creativity. If you're constantly distracted, if you're constantly entertained, you're never going to find what you want to develop and work on. You're never going to be able to find what your true passion in life is. boredom leads to creativity. And I do think that by putting that phone into the kids' hands or putting that phone in your hands, it steals people's creativity. Because everybody just now, it's just defaults to the phone. If you're debating something, just default to the phone, default to Google, default to AI. It doesn't matter, you know? I like mystery. I love mystery. So having a conversation without a cell phone so somebody can pull up some random stat, although I did do that myself, but it's just like, I don't know, I think that there's a better way to spend your time. So, you know, you tell me, are you fine? Would you be shocked to find out that you're spending 6 hours and 40 minutes a day on your cell phone? Or would you be like, yeah, that's about right? And now that you know that, is there anything that you think you might want to do to change that? Is there anything else that you might want to pursue in your life other than wasting away on your cell phone? You know, there's going to be, 30, 40 years from now, there's going to be a movie made of somebody just sitting there from the age 40 to 80, staring at their cell phone, and it's just going to show them aging through their phone. They're just going to be like, yeah, that's what I did all day long. And it's just going to be like, until they die, staring at the phone to death. You know what I mean? Because that's what it's becoming. So I don't know, I find that it's interesting, an interesting stat, that the cell phone really truly is stealing your life. 27% of your day spent on that cell phone. And nobody seems to care about that. I don't know. I think people need to get out, do things, figure it out. But I thought that was an interesting stat, and I wanted to do a video to talk about it. So let me know what your thoughts are. Have you noticed, are you aware, or have you checked how much time you spend altogether on your cell phone every single day? What your screen time is? Have you checked? I'm interested to know. And once you do check, then it's time to start thinking about, okay, now that you know, what do you do about it, right? Any suggestions, drop in the comments on what people can do instead of staring at their screen all day long. I don't know. Comment below. I'm Matt Ross. I'm the Known Wolf.